second Zoom session on writing effectively. And today I'm going to be introducing a new technique to help us to move our story forward, right? If you remember, right, just a week ago, we were writing our first paragraph, our introduction, and we were talking about using the 5 senses in order to bring about a more vivid and more colorful introduction. Now, just a very quick note, can someone volunteer to remind us of what the 5 senses that we harnessed are? Joshua, go ahead, unmute yourself and tell us the 5 senses, please.
Touch, smell, taste, hear, and
Okay, let me revise. Touch, smell, hearing, taste, and the last one, the most obvious one, what's here? And sight, right? Very good. So sight, smell, touch, hearing, and taste are the 5 main senses that we have harnessed to build our introduction. Can you all remember C-Strand condominium and how the smell of the chlorine filled the air and how there were the sounds of boisterous children playing in the waters and how the cool breeze swept across the pool and cooled us down, right? So we remember the story because we use our senses, right? So today we are going to go into a new technique called conflict. Now, can anybody tell me if you know what the word conflict means? It's quite a big word, right? It's quite a big word, right? Okay, come Brennan, tell me, what is conflict?
it means that two people are angry with each other and then a problem will arise between both of them.
Thank you, Brendan. That's a beautiful way of expressing it. It's always involving two characters being angry or in a disagreement with each other. Okay, very good. Andrea, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I already said what I want to say.
Okay, right. But think about it. Uh, in stories, right? Is it only characters that can be in conflict with each other? Is there any other kind of conflict besides those between one character and another? Can you all think of other types of conflict besides between characters? Jasper, can you think of others? Jasper, go ahead first.
Fairy tale,
Mm.
animals can also make conflicts.
Okay, so an animal can also be part of the conflict. So an animal is not a character, but the animal could also be something against the character, right? Good, good, good. That's possible. There's one more thing that can be in conflict with your character. So your character can be in conflict with another character, or your character can be in conflict with an animal, right? What else can your character be in conflict with? Actually, there's 2 more things, right? And then we'll cover that. Andrea, you want to try?
They could be in conflict with their own problems.
Yes, very good. Did y'all hear what Andrea said? Right? Did y'all hear what Andrea said? Yep. Okay. So Andrea said they can be in conflict with themselves, with their own problems. So do you sometimes struggle with yourself, boys and girls? Do you all sometimes struggle with yourself? Do you sometimes feel like you want to play, but then you have to do homework? Do you feel that way sometimes? Right, right. Yeah, all the time, right? Oh, I really want to go and play, or I really want to go outside. It's such a beautiful day, but I have to stay in the room and do my homework. Do you feel that inside you? Right? Do you feel the conflict? Right? One part of you really wants to go out, right? Then the other part of you like, no, I should really stay behind and do my work, right? And so you have to like struggle inside until one part wins, right? There'll be one part that wins, right? How many of you, the playing part wins? How many of you, the homework part wins? Oh, so many more homework winners. Well done. That means you're all responsible kids who know what's the right thing to do. Well done, okay? But sometimes the playing part will win, right? Sometimes, right? Correct. Sometimes the playing part will win, right? Then you will give in to temptation and go out and play instead. Correct? Yeah. So that's what I mean by conflict, right? So your conflict can be between two characters. Your conflict can be between you and yourself. And one final conflict, I give you a clue, right? If your character is caught in a storm, or if your character is caught in an earthquake, or if your character is caught in a volcanic eruption, right? Who is the enemy, or who is the thing that's in conflict with your character? Eric Sher, come, try. Unmute yourself, remember, don't forget.
In conflict with the weather.
Yeah, the weather or the surroundings, right, is what can be your enemy, correct? So remember, conflict can take place between you and yourself, between you and another character, or even between you and the weather or the surroundings. Okay, so now I want y'all to think of one example of a conflict between you and another character. Can you give me an example? It can be a story you read, or it can be something that happened to you. Can you give me an example of a conflict between you and another character? Okay. Gautam, go ahead. Gautam, your mic is not working again. This has happened before, remember? Your mic is not working, I'm sorry. Okay, can someone else try to answer this question? Thaddeus, try, Thaddeus.
Can it be a sentence?
Sure, go ahead. Share your sentence with us.
My mother asked me to share something, but whether I should share or not should share.
Okay, so who are you struggling with?
My mother.
Oh, so it's kind of you and your brother, is it? To share something, right? So your brother is the person that's not wanting to share with you. Is that the story? Yeah, okay, that's not too bad, right? So it could be that your brother is the person who is in conflict with you. Okay, that's good. That's a good example. Can someone else give me another example? Maybe a bigger example, a more dramatic example than just sibling rivalry. Can we go beyond that? Yeah. Brennan, you want to contribute something? Go ahead.
One time I went to a cat place, right? A place where they have a lot of cats. Then I wanted to play with one cat, but then the cat kept on walking away. Then I keep on trying to catch it. Then I started becoming angry. Then I keep on trying to catch it. Then the cat kept on running away. So then I tried to catch it, but then it suddenly go and scratch a little bit of me.
Oh, that's sad to hear. But do you think that this is a character-to-character conflict, or is it more of a character-to-animal conflict? Which one is it, Brennan?
Character to animal.
Yeah, it's more of a character-to-animal conflict, right? But can someone give me a character-to-character conflict? Okay, I still haven't gotten past the character-to-character conflict yet. Okay, Eric, sure, go ahead.
Your friend wants to do this, but you want to do something else, so you end up not friends anymore.
Okay, so you're in a big fight with your friend because your friend wants to do something and you want to do something else. Okay, that's good. That's like a conflict between two friends. Very good. That's a good example. Thank you, Eric Sher. Andrea, go ahead. One more, maybe.
I want to buy one book, but then my brother wants to buy another book and we don't have enough money.
Right, because you only have that much money and you have to decide which book to buy. So you and your brother end up in a fight, right? Or maybe you argue because you can't decide on which book to buy. Very good. These are great conflicts. Now, can someone tell me an example of a conflict between you and the environment or between you and the weather? You can't use what I already used, so you must come up with your own, okay? Between you and the weather or you and the environment, okay? Andrea, go ahead.
It's very hot, but I need to walk to school.
So the hot weather is the enemy, is it? Okay, possible. Do you know weather can get so hot that sometimes we can faint or sometimes we can get dehydrated, right? So the weather can actually be quite dangerous, right? So we must be careful when the weather is hot to drink lots of water. Good, Andrea, that's a good possibility. Joshua, what about you?
You want to go to the playground, but it's raining.
Very good. The rain stops you from going to your favorite playground, right? Because it's super wet and it could be dangerous, right? Because of lightning and all of the other risks of playing in the rain. So very good, Joshua. That is the environment stopping you, right? The environment is your enemy. It stops you from doing what you want to do. Very good. Thaddeus, maybe a last one to send us on our way.
You are walking to school, but then it's raining.
raining very heavily.
Oh, okay. Similar to Joshua's example, right? Okay, good. Yeah, it could be that rain stops you from walking to school, or you get caught in the rain, right? And then the rain makes you like really cold and miserable because you're caught in it. Possible. All very good examples of conflict. Now, can you all see that in all these examples, conflict makes your story more interesting? Do you all agree? Right? Because if you are just walking to school, for example, and nothing happens to you, do you think it's worth writing a story about? No, right? Yeah. But if something happens on your way to school, like, you get chased by a fierce dog, right? Right? Or, the rain falls suddenly and catches you unaware, and then you get drenched to the bone, right? Or, you meet a bully along the way, and the bully chases you, right? And stops you from going to school on time. These are all interesting stories, don't you agree? Right? So can you see that conflict can make a story much more interesting? Do you agree? If you agree, can you give me 2 thumbs up? Yeah, we're all in agreement, right? So we are going to make a lot of problems for our character. Okay, everybody? We're going to create a lot of problems for our characters so that the story becomes more interesting for our readers to read. Okay, so I'm going to teach you a few techniques for how to create problems in your story in order to make your story more interesting. All right, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so the first kind of conflict we already talked about is internal conflict. Everybody say internal conflict. Yeah. Okay, point here, right? Internal, right? So internal conflict is the conflict that happens in your heart, right? It's inside of you, right? So your internal conflict is what you struggle with yourself, okay? Now, can you give me some examples of internal conflict or conflict with yourself, right? Something that's very common, perhaps. Would someone like to give me an example of an internal conflict, right? Should be quite easy, right? Okay. I'm going to ask somebody who's not raising their hand. Let's see. Can I have Shan? Are you raising your hand? Okay, go ahead then, Shan. Yeah.
When you get bad marks on your exam and
And
you're
then
mad, and you're mad at yourself.
you're mad at yourself for getting bad marks in the exams, right? Yeah. How many of you get mad at yourselves for getting bad marks in your exams? Okay. Y'all try not to be so hard on yourselves, okay? Because sometimes we do make mistakes, right? We're not perfect. So it's okay, but you can try harder. But yes, that struggle between you wanting to try harder and you feeling angry with yourself, right? That's an internal struggle. Very good. Internal conflict. Thank you, Shan. Let's have Cheyenne. Can you give me another example of an internal struggle, internal conflict?
When you suddenly have anxiety attack.
Oh dear, because of what? What caused the anxiety attack? Stress. Okay, yeah. Maybe there's a big exam coming up, right? Or maybe there's a test you forgot to study for, right? And then there's this stress that rises up inside of you, right? So what's the struggle? On the one hand, right? What's the struggle? Okay, Cheyenne, can you tell me what's the struggle caused by the stress? Cheyenne, can you? Go ahead.
It will be very hard for you to concentrate.
Okay, so on the one hand, you want to concentrate. On the other hand, you are too stressed out to concentrate, right? Yeah. So there's always two sides to a conflict. On the one hand, on the other hand, right? So on one hand, you really want to concentrate because you have to study. But on the other hand, you're so stressed that you can't concentrate, right? You have to, struggle against yourself because you're feeling the stress, but at the same time, you want to concentrate. Gake, can you please focus on the lesson? Thank you. I can see you. In fact, I can see all of you, and I can see when you're not being very focused. Okay, Gake? Can you please be focused on the lesson? Remove your soft toys, please, so that you can focus on the lesson. Gake? Gake, can you hear me? Gake, please remove your soft toy so that you're not distracted. Thank you very much. That's much better. Okay, so are we all clear about what an internal conflict is? Okay, it's the internal struggle of our character. Later, right, when we write the story, right, we are going to look at how to put internal struggle in, okay? Right? So I want you all to think about it in terms of the story later, and we'll get to the story shortly, okay? Next is external conflict. Okay, I already talked about this. We already gave a lot of examples, so I won't spend too much time here, right? Later also, we are going to think about what external conflict we want to inject into our story to make it more interesting, okay? Right? So we understand this. Now, why is conflict important? Because conflict drives the story forward, right? Without conflict, the story doesn't move, right? When something goes wrong, what's the normal reaction? When something goes wrong, what do you do? Anyone? When something goes wrong, what's your first reaction? What do you do? What do you try to do? Let's see. Can I ask someone who doesn't raise their hands? Okay, let's have Jia Yu. Jia Yu, when something goes wrong, what do you try to do?
Make it more worse.
Oh, really? When something goes wrong, you make it worse? Really? Is that what you do? If your brother spills some tea on the floor, do you spill some coffee? If your brother trips, do you push him down even more? No, right? You don't make the thing worse. No. I hope not. Okay, Alexis, would you like to try, Alexis? What do you do when when something goes wrong? What's your first reaction?
Think of your solution.
Think of a solution. Awesome, right? Yeah, that's our human reaction, right? When we see something go wrong, we try to fix it, right? Or we try to think of how to fix it, right? Very good. So when you have a problem, the problem drives you towards a solution, right? It makes you think about how to solve it, okay? And that's the first step, right? It drives the story forward and it helps you to think about solutions. The second thing is it reveals more about your character, right? When a problem happens, you get to know a person better. Do you all agree? Right? When something goes wrong, you can really tell your character, right? What kind of person are you? Are you a person who panics very easily? Or are you a person who stays calm and tries to solve the problem? Or are you a person who thinks about different solutions, right? Okay, so a problem reveals your character. So when a problem happens in a story, it is also a good chance to show to the reader what your character is like, right? The way your character reacts to the problem will show your reader what kind of character your story has, okay? Andrea, did you want to say something? No? Okay, then you've got to remember to lower your hand, okay? Good. Now, number 3, it says create tension. Now, do you all know what is tension? Do you want Mr. Pang to explain tension? Okay, yeah. So I explain, okay? Tension, right, is when something is wrong and you feel that something is wrong and you really want it to be fixed. Have you ever felt that way? Right? You watch a movie or you watch a TV program and then you see the bad guy laughing, ha 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 ha. The bad guy is very happy because he seems to be winning. Have you ever felt that feeling, something is wrong? We need to fix this problem. Have you all felt that way? Right? You can't wait for the hero to show up. You can't wait for the hero to defeat the bad guy, right? That is the feeling of tension. That feeling of wanting things to be fixed and things to be made right, right? So in your story, when you introduce the problem, you will create tension. What does that mean? It means that you will make your reader feel very uncomfortable. I want this story to move forward so that I know how it ends. Have you all felt that way? Right? When you watch movies, sometimes you will feel, hey, how does this movie end? I really want to see the end of it quickly, right? That's the feeling of tension, okay? And finally, it teaches us a moral. So at the end of the story, doesn't our character always learn a lesson? Right? Always learns a lesson, right? So there's always some kind of a moral or a lesson attached to the story, okay? Good, you guys are so fantastic. We're almost halfway through already. Good job, everybody, okay? So these are some examples, okay? Have a look at them, and then we're going to go to the story shortly. Then I'm going to get you all to be involved in building the story together with me, okay? So this is where your paper and your pencil will come in handy now, okay? So are you all ready? With the pencil and paper, just wave in front. Yeah, Okay, good job. Right. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of flying papers and pencils. Yeah, awesome. Great. Okay, good. Now put it down. Right. We're gonna craft the story together. Right. I'm going to share, right? This next section is going to be about us writing it together, and it'll be very familiar. Do you all remember this? Do you remember this? Yeah? Right? Do you remember the paragraph we wrote together the last time? Can you see? Mr. Pang has added some colors to it. Can you guess what the colors stand for? Use your fingers to show me what the colors stand for. Yeah, that's right. Okay? That's what the colors stand for, right? Yeah. They stand for the 5 senses, okay? They stand for touch, smell, taste, sight, and smell. Okay, yeah. So the 5 senses are very, very important. Okay, so we're going to leave the 5 senses aside for now because we've already finished with the introduction. And now we're going to continue on to introduce the problem. Remember, conflict. Okay, so I'm going to start with an external conflict. Okay, now if you look at the picture that I've boxed up in red, right, you can see it's a picture of 2 girls swimming, right, in the swimming pool, correct? Okay, now what kind of external conflict do you think I'm going to include here? Am I going to include conflict between 2 characters, conflict between a character and an animal, conflict between me and myself, or conflict between me and the environment? Titus, what kind of conflict do you think I will include?
Conflict against each other.
Each other? Really?
I mean the 2 people.
Really? Do you think so? Really? I guess I could, but no. I want you to notice the surroundings, right? What is the problem? What could be the conflict? Okay, because the 2 characters seem to be quite happy together, right? They don't look like they're fighting. So what could go wrong? What could be the problem here? I see a lot of hands. Okay, Andrea is waving desperately. Come, Andrea, tell us.
The weather.
The weather? Really? The weather?
Yeah.
Really? There's a bigger problem here besides the weather, right? What do you think? Does someone else have a different idea? What else could go wrong besides the weather? Yeah, the weather could go wrong. I'm not saying it can't go wrong, but there's something a bit more obvious. Cheyenne, what do you think?
The environment.
What is the environment?
The
What
place.
Sorry, say again.
The place.
What is the place? Say the place. Don't just say the environment, the place. Be specific. What place are they in?
The swimming pool.
So what is going to be the conflict? What is going to be the problem? Cheyenne, if you're not sure, okay, never mind. Shupo?
Drowning.
The water, right? The water, right? Okay, the water, right? Yeah. So can you see that the water is going to be the environment, the problem that is going to pose a risk to them, will be a danger to them, right? Okay. So like Shupo said, drowning could be a possible problem that they face, right? So let's start with this idea of the water being a problem. Okay. So for the water to be a problem, you will probably not know how to swim. Correct, everybody? If you know how to swim, do you think the problem is the water anymore? No, right? Okay, so I'm going to introduce a character that is going to not know how to swim. Does that sound okay to everybody? Can I do that? Okay. Right. So this character is going to suddenly fall into the pool. Okay. And then I am going to react to it. Okay. Everybody following so far? Okay. So I'm going to introduce an external conflict, and the external conflict is going to be the water. Okay. And the character is going to be the one falling into it, not me, another character. Okay. Okay. So let me get started here. Okay, can you all see the words that I'm writing? So you all can start from suddenly, okay? You don't have to write the first paragraph because you've already done that together, right? Okay, let's start from suddenly, okay? So we use suddenly to introduce something that is unexpected, right? We don't expect this to happen, right? Suddenly, okay? Suddenly, or out of the blue, okay? Now, would someone like to tell me what happened? Suddenly, what happened? Suddenly, what did I hear? What did I hear? Suddenly, what did I hear? Crystal Bell?
I heard a loud splash.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, let's go with that. Okay, and again, I'm still using my five senses, right? Because this happened behind me, so I didn't see it, I heard it, right? Can you hear something behind you? Can. Can you see something behind you? You can't, right? Yeah, you don't have eyes at the back of your head, huh? Okay. Okay, and I'm going to add on to what Christabel said. Okay, since I'm on the sense of hearing, I'm going to hear a piercing scream. Ah! Okay, so loud splash, followed by piercing scream. Right, now, if someone screams behind you, what is your normal reaction? What do you do? What's your next reaction? Do you continue walking on? Ho, ho, ho. Nothing happened. What a boring day. Just another scream. People scream behind me all the time. Nothing to worry about. Do you react like that? No, right? Yeah, that would be really weird, right? If you did that, okay? Terence, what would you do if you suddenly heard a scream behind you?
I would look behind me.
Yes, yes, immediately, right? I would jerk my head and I would look behind me, right? Right. So I immediately will around, right? Because I'm doing it really fast, right? And right, so when I whirl around, right, I see what's happening, right? What's my reaction going to be? What's my reaction going to be? Okay, Andrea, what would my reaction be?
I cannot see your screen.
Oh, you cannot see my screen. Oh dear. Everybody else, can you see my screen? Okay, so Andrea, it's something to do with your own settings. Okay, so you'll need to figure it out, right? Maybe ask your help, someone for help. Yeah.
I didn't change, it just suddenly be like that.
Is it?
Yeah, mommy.
Okay. Okay. Everybody else, are you okay? Can you follow my screen? Okay, all right. So sometimes this will happen. So when this happens, right, just try to get someone to help you or see whether you can undo what you did, okay? Because sometimes we can accidentally click on something when we are trying to unmute, nah? Okay, that's okay. So I immediately whirled around and what was my reaction when I whirled around, right? Yeah, Brandon, you want to try?
After your briefing,
My jaws dropped.
Okay, sure, because it's going to be a shocking scene, right? Okay, it's going to be something that you didn't expect, right? My jaw dropped. Okay, good. That's great. All right, thank you for that. I will use it. Perfect. Okay, right. So now I'm ready to describe what I see, right? So I heard, I whirled, jaw drop. What did I see? Okay, so now let's think about it, right? Who is this person that is going to have fallen into the pool? And maybe I can describe this person. Do you think this person should be young or old? Young, okay, young. I think most of us say, that most of us are doing that action of a very young person, very, very small person. Okay, very good. Okay, I agree. So we can go along with that, right? Okay, so I saw, okay, thumbs up. Okay, maybe left hand if boy, right hand if girl. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of girls. Okay, girl it is. Okay, right. Actually, this is not a winning vote because the girl is now in the pool. Okay, so I saw a little girl struggling in the water. Okay, now when you struggle in the water, what do you do? Can someone describe to me how she was struggling? Okay, now you can imagine if you've watched those movies of people drowning, what would they generally do? Eric Shah? Yeah, go ahead.
Try to push against the water.
Yeah, so she's kind of like, yeah. Alexander, what about you?
Wave your arm like.
All right, okay, right. She was waving her arms. Now, I want to use an adverb here. How does she wave her arms? Does she wave her arms happily? Yay! Look at me. I'm about to drown. No, right? Okay, that's not what she would do, right? So what adverb would I use to describe the manner in which she's waving her arms? Okay. Uh, okay, Joshua, go ahead.
Very fast and fearful of the water.
Okay, but I want something really very dramatic. Okay, so I want, an adverb is a word that ends with ly that describes the manner of the action, right? So so what would it be? Titus? You look like you're raising your hands. No? Okay, Thaddeus?
Very shocking.
Yes, it's very shocking, but that's not how she's waving her hands, right? You can't wave your hands in a shocking way. Andrea?
Frantically.
Frantically? Okay, sure. All right, that works. Frantically. You all know what's frantically, right? Very desperately, right? Right. It's like without any control, you're just like frantically waving your arms because you are in a very desperate situation, right? You don't have time to control yourself, okay? And, right? And what was her body doing? Just like Arisha was saying, right? Trying to what was she doing? Trying to what? What was she trying to do? What was she trying to do? Yi-Chen?
Stay afloat.
Very good. Stay afloat, right? That's all she's trying to do, right? Because she can't swim, right? So she's just trying to float. She's not trying to do some breaststroke or freestyle or anything like that, right? She's just trying to stay above the water, right? Because she's worried that she will sink and drown, right? Okay, very good. Awesome. Now let's come back to ourselves. Now let's put in, so this is my external conflict, right? This is someone struggling in the water, right? And the problem is they don't know how to swim. Obviously, that's why they're just trying to stay afloat. Now come back to myself. I want to include internal conflict now. What kind of internal conflict would I be experiencing at this point? What internal conflict would I be experiencing, right? Because I'm not a lifeguard, right? I won't go, come, let me go and rescue you, right? That wouldn't be my first reaction, correct? Because I'm not a trained lifeguard. So what is the internal conflict that I would be experiencing here? Come on, we are coming to the end of this paragraph and the end of today's session. So let's do this quickly. What is the internal conflict that I will be struggling with? Cheyenne, go ahead.
You wanted to immediately go and save the girl, but you weren't trained to do it.
Yeah, so on the one hand, I want to save the girl, but on the other hand, I feel scared because I'm not trained, right? Okay, that's do y'all agree with Cheyenne? Yeah, it's true, right? Because we are not trained, we don't know how to rescue someone. What happens if the person pull me down, right? What happens if I drown, right? While trying to save this person. So it's a very valid struggle, correct? It's true, it's true. By the way, do you think you should rescue the person? Yes, very good. I'm so glad to see that you're all so wise. You shouldn't, okay? Because you're not trained or equipped to save someone when they are drowning. You should not go and try to save them because you very well could drown, right? Okay. So it's a very valid internal conflict. Let's write that. Okay. So let's try to write that. So you can use the on the one hand and on the other hand. Remember, I talked about the two hands, right? Okay, we'll use the two hands, okay? On one hand, I really wanted to save the poor girl who was drowning. But on the other hand, okay, I was not trained to as a lifeguard. Okay, I was frozen with fear. Okay, are you all following so far? Does the story make sense? If it does, can you give me 2 thumbs up? Awesome. Okay. Would y'all do the same thing? Would y'all be frozen for a minute as well? Right? You would, right? Okay, you would all be like, I don't know what to do, right? It's such a shocking event. I don't know what I'm going to do next. Okay, we are going to finish in the next 5 minutes, okay? Sorry, Joshua, go ahead. Did you raise your hands? Yeah.
You said on one hand, but then you only wrote one hand, you didn't write the on at the front.
Oh, okay, thank you. You're right, okay? On one hand, okay. Thank you for pointing that out to me, Joshua. That's a valid point. On one hand, I really wanted to save the poor girl. So please insert the word on there. On one hand, I really wanted to save the poor girl. But on the other hand, I was not trained as a lifeguard. I was frozen with fear. Okay, so this is how you all can bring in internal conflict. On one hand, I really wanted to eat the cookie. But on the other hand, I knew that it was not very healthy, right? On one hand, I really wanted to save the poor girl. But on the other hand, I knew I was not trained as a lifeguard. Okay, on one hand, I really wanted to help Lorraine, but on the other hand, I didn't know how to help her. On one hand, I really wanted to eat Andrea's cookie, but on the other hand, I knew that that would make me really fat. On one hand, I wanted to take Jasper's pencil, but on the other hand, I knew that Jasper would scold me. On one hand, can you get the idea, everybody? Right? You can consider things from 2 hands, right? One hand, the other hand, because you are confused or you are uncertain. Okay, that's why there's internal conflict. Okay, Andrea, do you have something to say? If not, you must lower your hand. Okay, always remember to lower your hand. Thank you. Okay, excellent. Now, so can you show me both your hands? Right, so this is how you remember. Okay, right, left hand is always one hand. On one hand, okay, right hand is always other hand. On the other hand, okay, so can you, in your own room and in your own houses, make up your on one hand and on the other hand statement now? On one hand, I think that Mr. Pang is really fierce. On the other hand, he's actually quite nice sometimes. On one hand, I feel like eating sushi tonight. But on the other hand, I think that I prefer noodles. On one hand, I think that it's perfect weather to go cycling. On the other hand, I prefer to stay at home and watch a movie perhaps. On one hand, you know what I mean? Yeah. On one hand, I like, Pokemon soft toys. On the other hand, I prefer, I don't like teddy bears instead. I don't. Okay, so on one hand, on the other hand, on one hand, on the other hand. So this is one good technique to bring in internal conflict, right? On one hand, I felt like doing this. On the other hand, I felt like doing something else instead. Okay, now, to end off today, let's think about a suitable reaction. Okay, now what should my character do at this stage? So I'm frozen, but I cannot be frozen forever, right? Can you imagine your character just for the entire story? Yeah, that'd be like really silly, right? Yeah, like duh, right? Story's not progressing. So story must move on. So let's finish off with one last line today, okay? What do you think my character ought to do after unfreezing? Okay, so frozen with fear. Then after I get over my fear, what's the next thing that I should do? Any suggestions? Okay, Titus, do you have a suggestion?
Ask the nearest adult to help.
Ask the nearest adult to help. Good suggestion. Andrea, what about you?
Call a lifeguard.
Call a lifeguard over. Good suggestion. Anybody else? Mu Yan, yes. Did you raise your hand? No. No. Anyone? Mu Yan? Andrea, Lorraine? No.
Laurie want to say
Come, Lorraine. What would you do? What would you suggest?
like someone older than me.
Okay, so someone older than you, maybe your older brother or your older sister. Okay, but must be quite a lot older lah. If it's around the same age, also doesn't work, huh? Okay, Brennan, what about you? Last one, okay? Then we'll put it all together.
Run to a nearby adult and ask them for help.
Run to a nearby adult and ask. But you all think about it, right? By the time I run there and run back, what will happen to the character? Yeah, right. Yeah, you're making all kinds of weird faces, Okay. Yeah, but so it might make more sense to call out rather than run, right? Do you all agree? Sound travels faster than your body, right? So you might want to use your mouth to, right? So, okay. Shaking myself out of my reverie. Reverie means like, you're stunned, okay? I shouted for help. At the nearby lifeguard. Okay? So you're drawing the attention of the lifeguard who's near to you, okay, by shouting. All good, everybody? All right, so to be continued, our story is now at its most exciting point, right? The girl is about to drown. The lifeguard has just noticed you screaming, and the story is in its climax. Can you all agree with me that this is the most exciting part of the story? Yeah. So we're going to build the climax in the next Zoom session, okay? We're going to build the climax to make it even more. Remember, things must get better or get worse? Better or worse? Worse. Climax is when things get worse, not better, right? So we got to think, so you all go back and think over the weekend, how can this situation get even worse? What will happen to the girl to make this situation even worse before the lifeguard appears on the scene to make it better, right? What can make it worse? Okay, so I'm stopping here, right? Did you all enjoy today's session? Did you all learn something new? What are the two types of conflict that we learned today? Point here. What's this? Internal conflict, right? Point here. What's this? External conflict, right? Okay, so internal conflict, okay, on one hand, on the other hand, right? So when you point in, it's on the one hand, it's on the other hand, okay? Then when you point out, it's the environment or it's other people, right? And we'll do that later. So in and out, okay, in and out, and then one hand on the other hand, okay? So do this over the weekend. So we'll be coming on Monday, we'll discuss what's gonna get worse. Okay, everybody? Good job. Well done. It's 3:47. That's all for today. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Wave your arms frantically. Wave your arms frantically. Okay, bye. Thanks for sharing your capybara, Jasper. Yay. Bye. Bye. Wave your arms frantically. Yay. Oh, Pikachu. Hi. Thank you, everyone. See you. Bye. Have a good weekend. See y'all. Thanks for paying attention. Good job, everyone. Bye. Okay, see you.